We've got some new pipe bomb camera footage, and we wanted to start out with what you uncovered recently, just last week, right? You found this, or were able to obtain it?
We were able to obtain it. I actually found it 8 weeks ago.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So how did you find it? Are you just poring over 14,000 hours of video?
40,000 hours.
40,000
of hours.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what you're doing.
Right.
And then you saw some of this video, and then you tried to go get it.
Yeah, you actually go to D.C., you apply for time in front of the Capitol CCTV viewing room monitors that they have in one of the congressional buildings, and then once you're granted the access, then of course you have to take, because you can't take screenshots, you can't use your phone, you can't use anything in that room, so you have to handwrite everything on a notepad, and so you write your camera numbers down, the time codes that you want, and then you go back and type it all up and submit it to the congressional committee that's in charge of this, and then they have to get it approved because there are sensitive areas of the Capitol. Like, for instance, when we released the Special Agent Lazarus video, the guy who perjured himself in the Oath Keepers trial.
All right.
Those videos were down in the tunnels underneath the Capitol, so we had to get those approved, and we had to blur out certain things. And then, obviously, with this bomb video, there were things about this bomb video they did not want out there.
Isn't that interesting?
Yep.
And they tried to tell you at the last minute too, that you couldn't have it, right?
Yeah.
Because it was too sensitive.
Yeah, we were scheduled to work on the actual bomb destruction video. Well, this is brand new, Blockbuster. We put it up last night.
We'll tweet these out.
And we knew that we had gotten, quote unquote, the approval for it, and it was supposed to be sent to me in a Dropbox on Wednesday night. At 9 o'clock on Wednesday night, I get a call from the actual chief of staff of the congressman that oversees this video, and he said, "You can't have the video." I'm like, "What?" He said, why? He said, well, it's classified technologies being used to destroy that pipe bomb. And I went, no, it's not. And he's like, oh, no, they've told us that it's hypersensitive and we can't release it. I said, no, you can go to the Department of Homeland Security website. In fact, I'll send you the link and you can read all about it.
So great that you knew that.
Yeah, you could buy it on
That's
Amazon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so you did get it, and I think this is self-explanatory, right? You kind of walk us through what's going on here on
73
on this video.
Was the most important camera.
Are we running the audio to it?
Okay. Pipe bomb story event. You've probably already seen Thomas Massey's release of the video in which it appears that a Capitol Police plainclothes officer has discovered the bomb and has alerted the Secret Service and the Metro Police officers that were on the scene. You probably also already seen the bomb-sniffing dog, and you may have already also seen the arrival of then Vice President-elect Kamala Harris's motorcade.
And there it is.
What you haven't seen is, well, what somebody in the Capitol Police Command Center didn't want us to see. And that's the actual investigation of the bomb scene. What we're going to show you now is how they hid that from us.
Okay.
What we were able to access from the Capitol CCTV viewing room is how long that camera, number 3173, had remained in that fixed position. We were able to go back as far as December 28th of 2020, just 8 days or so before the events of January 6th. And from that review, we could see that the camera's positioning was in that fixed position for days, weeks, months. But ultimately, it was only just these very few minutes after the bomb's discovery that camera began to move.
Oh. Interesting.
The camera then began to move, pan, zoom in, looking for the bomb itself. The one thing that we know for sure is that camera 3173 was the most crucial of all the cameras. It had the closest and the clearest view of what law enforcement's response, what their investigation, and ultimately the destruction and detonation, or the attempted detonation of the bomb would be by the bomb squad robot. But inexplicably, And I'm getting tired of using that word every single time we do one of these investigations, but that seems to be the key word when it's related to January 6th, is that at approximately 1:40 p.m., camera number 3173 was remotely directed away from the scene at about a 90-degree angle, and then it remained in this newly fixed position away from the investigation for the rest of the day, or at least until midnight on January 6th.
Phenomenal.
Now, it might be assumed that this was an error, an accident,
somebody bumped
an oversight. Maybe somebody bumped the joystick on camera number 3173 until we then review camera number 8020. As we are seeing the robot deployed down the street, headed towards the bomb, someone, again, directs camera 8020 away from the investigation scene and then affixes it once again. It seems like at a hard right 90-degree angle away from the investigation once again.
Okay, the only thing you're left to conclude here, at least
Why
as far as I
would
can
they
tell.
turn those cameras away from the investigative scene?
Good question.
Who
Why?
ordered those cameras to be turned away?
Mm-hmm.
What were we not allowed to see? Stay tuned to Blaze Media for those answers.
I mean, you would assume, I guess, that they were turned away because they didn't want you to see that this was a dud bomb, and they knew it was.
That is absolutely the assumption.
Yeah. What? So, I mean, what reasonable conclusion can you reach other than that?
There's not a reasonable
There
conclusion.
isn't, is there?
No.
I mean, I was racking my brain yesterday trying to come up with, okay, well, why would you do that in a legitimate way? Was something else going on in the area? And the answer was no. Nothing else was going on in the area that they had to look at. They're just can't. I don't know. I don't know what the reasonable explanation would be.
We've spoken to multiple law enforcement individuals of all types, from the Capitol Police to FBI. And in every single level of federal law enforcement that we've spoken to, they say the same thing. There could only be one reason to divert those cameras away, is that if they were using some very highly sensitive, classified technology.
And that's what they tried to tell you they were doing.
And that's what they tried to tell me, and that is absolutely incorrect.
Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Incredible.
This shows you how incompetent the government is, even when they're trying to hide something. In other words, they knew, they probably thought there's no chance someone's ever going to do this investigative journalism and find out what we did. But just in case they do, let's turn the cameras away. How obvious could you be here? But I love the video that you posted last night of it actually being, destroyed.
As we've already shown you, camera numbers 3173 and 8020 were both turned and panned hard away from the investigation scene at almost a 90-degree angle. But there was another camera, and this particular camera is one they really didn't want you to see. We received a tip from a senior congressional aide who told us to go look at this particular camera and see what we could see. Well, we did just that. When we saw camera number 4205, we saw that it was zooming around and panning just like the other cameras were. And finally, it came and settled on a particular scene, probably then ignored by whoever the camera operator was, because it never returns to its original position for the rest of the day. But just on the far left edge of the screen, we can now show you the robot extending the water cannon, and boom. Now that you've seen the bomb being destroyed, it wasn't actually detonated. As a matter of fact, this water cannon is a disruptor, and it fires a very high velocity, almost like a shotgun shell round of water or other type of liquid meant to disrupt the circuits and also whatever the explosive materials are inside the device. So what we're witnessing here is one of two things. Either the water cannon did its job perfectly as designed, and it is very reliable, or we're looking at an inert device. Maybe Both.
Yeah.
There's more, a lot more coming from this camera. To be perfectly honest with you, there were powerful forces that did not want this footage to be given to us. As a matter of fact, we didn't even have it until last night. There's a lot more to show you from camera 4205, even the evacuation of then Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Stay tuned to Blaze Media.
Absolutely fascinating. Jeez.
I think, man, everything today
we're just being lied to.
Has been theater.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything.
Yeah, especially on January 6th. They love the narrative. They've pushed the narrative. They think that adds to their power base. They think that that helps them win this upcoming election. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to push that narrative that there was an insurrection on January 6th, and it was MAGA Republicans that carried it off. It's agonizing. But I don't suppose you want to share all the rest of the stuff that's coming out just yet.
Honestly, depends on what we want to share.
Just give us everything you have right now, and let's get it out
everything
there.
that I have in here right now.
I feel like they may lock you up just to keep you from releasing more videos.
You worry about that?
No, as a matter of fact, almost every single day, every time we release one of these videos, somebody says in a comment thread on social media, they said, you do have personal security, right? They ask me that. And I think it's actually playing out the opposite. I think that the more of this that I show, the more of this I reveal,
less danger you're in.
Well, I think legally, I would say, because ultimately they're going to have to make a decision. Are we going to go after that guy and have to deal with him?
And look really bad.
Amplify what he is unearthing even more.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll be a PR disaster for them if they do this.